All right, guys, welcome back to the Onside Inside podcast, your front row to the stories and strategies of the construction industry leaders. I'm your host, Corey Tompkins, and today we have a guest whose journey through the world of construction is as inspiring as it is enlightening, Kim Allen. With 2 decades of experience under her belt, Kim's career began in the bustling city of Perth, where she honed her skills as a maintenance manager, but her journey didn't stop there. Seeking new horizons, she moved to Brisbane, diving deep into the world of house and land development, before taking a pivotal step that would redefine her career. After going on maternity leave, Kim, alongside her husband, launched CRA, a venture that has since soared to remarkable heights. But Kim's life isn't all designs and building sites. She's also a devoted wife and mother of 2 and a serial renovator for transforming spaces, an avid traveller and a thirst for adventure, and a warm host who loves gathering family around. Today, Kim joins us to share her wealth of knowledge in construction, the joys and challenges of starting a business, and the struggles she's had along the way. Kim, welcome to the Onside Inside podcast. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. And so just start off with, I think I sort of elaborated on it then, but just, tell us a little bit about yourself. And I know you've done this once or twice before, so.
Yeah, sure. So I began, CRA Construction was something that my husband, Chris, is a plasterer by trade. When I was still working before children, he was running a commercial plastering company that skyrocketed way too quickly, and big mistakes were made, and we were in a partnership at the time. And once I've obviously had my first child, we had to exit that business, and we had no income stream, and realised that we didn't want to go working for others again. So that's where CRA's come into it. So we very much so. I was pregnant with our next baby, and we have just started CRA, which meant Chris was back on the tools after a few years, and we quoted well into the night and up all through the night with our young daughter, and to be able to establish enough jobs, to start employing our staff again.
I'll tell you what, you definitely made it easy for me on this interview with the info that you've given me. But it's, I see you guys on socials and what you guys are doing with the schools and, all the little stuff here and there. It from the outsider looking in, it definitely looks like you guys are really kicking goals. So
we're very excited. Like we've run this. I entered in as a need be. And I've had to transform our business into something that I want to be involved in, and that I'm passionate to be involved in. And in doing that, I've created a brand. And
there's so many things we could talk about now about just that on its own.
It's I feel your business is nothing unless it's to be recognisable out on the road and out on the streets, and and from there my one little snippet for the industry is I want to change plastering. So if I can create a more respectable trade and get more children into the industry, I think will be a better overall.
Yeah, that is good, because I think a lot of the listeners could relate that we've all had our run-ins with plasterers, especially plasterers, concreters, how it goes, the story. But I definitely think that side of the industry, and don't get me wrong, carpenters are exactly the same, but I think there's heaps of leaps and bounds in regards to licensing and all that sort of stuff.
Absolutely. There's a big difference between a sole trader who's there purely on a contract basis to someone that's either working on a wage or on they're a proper company here to run a business. Not just saying I'm a sole trader, I own a business. There's a big difference. And it comes down to the information that you can provide to the builder, the industry knowledge, as well as just respect for the builder's site and what's happening on site.
Now, I think briefly, just a second ago, you touched on business partnerships.
Yes.
What would be some of the people that are out there that are thinking about doing it, whether family, friends, brothers, sisters, whoever, what are some of your key takeaways from, that?
run for the hills. Yep, don't do it.
Yeah.
So our current situation, we went into, my husband went into partnership with someone, and 5 years later, no, we're going on our 6th year. So that business, we exited.
Now, sorry, just to give it a bit of context, just to the listeners. So the business, it's a plastering business as well?
It was a commercial plastering business.
How many employees did you have at that point?
We had, it would have been 40 to 60 employees plus another 60 contractors.
So you're working like tier 1 sort of stuff? Or
twos.
Yeah.
And so we had a team of around 120 that we would sort of run.
Yep.
Doing apartment buildings, schools.
Big stuff,
Yeah. It just grew too quickly.
Yeah. Could you see that happening? Or were you sort of amidst all the, the flashy things and the
other business partner got a bit excited of the flashy things.
Yeah.
That's why we exited.
Okay.
And the reality is you may run a business, but it doesn't mean you run it well.
Yeah.
So we still have a ATO debt because of that 6 years later. That's something that because they chose to spend big, I'm now currently paying off his $4,000 watch that, because he didn't pay his bills.
Yeah.
So it's a reality. But in saying that, we've entered CRA on the basis that we're going to do it right, we're going to do it respectful, and we're going to have bloody integrity.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going into our 6th year now, and no one's been paid late. Everyone, our team honour our company values, and we're here to do it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I don't think bigger sometimes isn't always the best. I think you can still get to that, 100, 120 staff and, you're doing massive turnovers. I feel like you can still get there, but you have to build it from the ground up.
Absolutely. So we've spent the last 5 years building our residential team.
Yep.
And now that's allowed us to have them running on their own accord. And we have built our commercial division on the side. So that's getting all your processes, your contracts, your policies, everything in place, ready to hit the ground running. Our estimator is iOS certified, so that means that we're going to be as clean cut as we can, ready to, we're documented, we're organised. So we're going to do it right instead of going quickly into it and failing.
So
again.
The people that are thinking about doing a partnership, because there probably is some people out there that are listening that are thinking about doing it or literally like in doing it. If you were going to do it again, not saying you are, but let's just say hypothetically you do think about doing it again, what are some key things that you would put in place knowing what you know now?
Sure.
Or because,
It's not just going to your accountant and saying, hey, I want a new company, we're going to go 50-50.
Yeah.
You need to go to a solicitor. You need to have a shareholder agreement. You need to have a management agreement.
Now, do you think that's worth doing, right from the get-go?
You need to have that conversation of everything that you think could go wrong up front. You need to have those hard conversations, and they're horrible. Like, no one wants to have them, but it's better off at the tail end when you hate each other. It's going to make things a hell of a lot easy. So if you have them now, purely based on what could happen, what do you think is a possibility of, going down X path, that
Play
path?
the story out,
Absolutely. And that comes down to who's going to bring what to the table, who's responsible for what, and how you're going to implement it. Because at the end of the day, it's not worth anything unless you're going to end up broke. Very, very broke, and in a lot of debt and struggling.
Yeah, and the mental strain that also puts on you.
Well, it comes down to 6 months down the track, and you're going, look, we've got X amount of profit, but what's he doing? He's doing nothing. I see him doing nothing. It's a discussion you have up front instead of second questioning yourselves later down the track. It builds trust, and you go, all right, I get it. This is why we're doing it. Just
to the context of how that partnership sort of come about, was it family? Were you guys already were they already working together for
friends.
Years? Yeah, so good friends. Yeah,
good friends. But we were just doing a project together.
Yeah.
And both had the same vision of growing and building into commercial.
Yeah.
But the problem was it grew very quickly, and then money wasn't managed well, spending wasn't managed well, and we had to quickly take on other projects at not a loss, but a reduced profit. We weren't organised, so variations weren't being approved to be paid. Again, that affects your cash flow. And all of a sudden, we're running in the negatives and going, holy cow, we can't pay wages.
Yeah,
so
the snowball effect, and then it's too late.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, guys, congratulations. You're halfway through this episode. I hope you guys are really enjoying it. But first, I just want to make a special thank you to Ideal Group Australia. Without them, I wouldn't be able to bring this podcast to you. So special thank you. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Buckle in and get ready to listen to the end of this episode. Yeah, like just to give the listeners, like I personally have never done a partnership. That's something that I've never done. My family, I've been around like business growing up. My mum and dad were in business. My dad was in business. I've seen it all, family intertwined together. And for me, no matter the size of the paycheck or the dream that it would be to do that, I just decided never to do it. And my wife was she was also the one that, reiterated it to me and was like, just no matter how slow it takes you, just do it right. So I learned, for myself anyway, same thing again. Like I watched my old man go through massive debt. Things didn't get paid. BAS, we just had a BAS bill come through. You'd be sitting in your chair like stressing it. Like that's how it was throughout my apprenticeship and seeing it, basically growing up really. So and all. My life lesson was that I never wanted to do that. So, my biggest thing, same as what you were just saying before, making sure everyone gets paid every week.
Yeah.
Super gets paid. Because that was one thing that I've only just found out as well, that apparently it's very common for guys not to get their super paid.
Yeah, well, that's where our bill is with the ATO.
Yeah.
So the partnership, they didn't pay the super years after we left.
Yeah.
And the ATO have right to come to us for a very small portion of what he should have paid when we wrapped up.
Yeah.
But because we didn't seek legal advice when we did wrap up, we relied on our accountant who was trading irresponsible in terms of looking after us both, and we just took his word for it. So we're in this position because we didn't get help. We trusted. And that's where, as much as you may trust someone and you're caught up in that momentum of, this is going to be amazing, we're going to earn so much money and, conquer the world. At the end of the day,
we're going to grow this massive corporation.
But get your ducks in a row because it will save you short-term and long-term.
Yeah, like pay the $5,000 or whatever it is. Like if you haven't got the $5,000, then you shouldn't be doing it anyway. But pay the money and get it set up. So then that way, later down the track, if things ever do go south, you can, you got a plan for it because
you've got a plan, and you can always refer back to that agreement when you are in disagreement, and might be something really trivial, but it's escalated. You can just refer back to your agreement and go, oh, all right, this is where we agreed 2 years ago. Let's go down that avenue. Yeah. Or you pull a third party into it, your solicitor or whomever. Yeah. But having independent advice, not relying on each other. Yeah. Yeah, it's a tricky, slippery slope.
It's like a marriage, but...
Oh, man, yeah.
Yeah, so... so earlier on, you touched on... Well, you sort of... I think you are pretty passionate about this one. I think, women in the trade and basically, getting paid fairly and... getting paid, because there's a lot of partners out there that do stuff for the business and, they don't draw a wage or anything or, and so what's your thoughts about that? And,
Yeah, sure. So I'm all about, it may be equality, and I think that's more of a, it's a big word that gets thrown around a lot and not taken out of context a lot. Yeah. It's more so being paid for what you're worth and understanding your value and having the confidence to say, I'm due this. Yeah. So it's very common where the partner's wife, partner, whomever, They do all the bookkeeping, marketing, the whatever it might be in the background, but they don't actually draw a wage from that. So they feel like they're burdened to their husband's income and having to ask for money or feeling very isolated. So I'm all about, being paid your worth. So if you're doing that, then the business should be able to afford to pay your wage. If it cannot afford to pay you a wage, then it should incorporate that into its overheads, and then that's how you price.
Yeah. No, this is such an interesting one. Like, I love this one. So it's, for me, I fully agree. My wife's very similar. And yeah, like the guilt that, we've had ample conversations about, every single company out there that started with, a husband and wife, they've always had this drama, and I don't care what anyone says, it's always happened. So yeah, that whole guilt about, your wife not drawing a wage and then them feel like a financial burden and all the rest of it, that was something that I've been, for me anyway, I've sort of made like a conscious effort to always reiterate that that's never the case. And I've always said to her, same thing again, if we can't afford to pay for her to do what she does, we're in a different spot now than we were when we started, but still the same principle. If we can't afford to pay for what she does in the business, then we shouldn't be in business anyway.
Correct.
So, and if you take that mentality with everything that you do, when you're doing a business, if you can't afford to get your accountant, then you need to rehash what you're doing. If you can't afford to pay your super, then you need to rehash what you're doing. For me, if you just constantly have that in the back of your head and say to yourself that, if I can't afford this, then I need to either change what I'm doing or I shouldn't be in business anyway, and I should just be on a wage and just go work for someone.
Correct. A lot of people get caught up in the whole spending their tax and not paying themselves superannuation, and it's all well and good for now, but come 20, 40 years time when you go to retire, have you set yourself up with assets as a retirement strategy? Have you set yourself up, are you walking away with a humongous amount of ATO debt? That they will find you.
It will, the ATO debt is one of those things. If you don't pay it, they'll come get you, and they will eventually find you. So always make sure you're putting your money away for that, and you're paying.
I guess the big thing is, when you're first starting out in business, cash flow is tight. That's acceptable. And I'm not here to say that I drew a wage initially. When we first went out, the first 6 months to a year, we drew maybe 80K as a household as a wage, an annual wage. And that's what we lived on for the first 2 years until we could actually establish enough clientele and to pay ourselves. So there's no walking into wealth. You have to build it, and you have to put in the time, the effort, and the energy. But in saying that, as soon as we could, that's when we've gone 50-50. So we then both draw a wage. And then as the business grows again, and if we're entitled to a raise, we both get that raise. The same as asset protection. So with myself, my husband Chris, he owns CRA. That's purely him and his name. We then have our assets in my name. So should something go wrong with one of our builders and they not pay us and we have to foreclose on CRA or something bad were to happen, our assets are protected. But that also gives me the confidence to have, to know that I have my own wealth. And it's my husband's too, same as CRA is mine too. But the reality is that, it probably took me 3 years for that to sink in that, hey, CRA is mine, because it is on page 20 of the company documents. My name is there,
It's same. Exactly the same for us. Like, we have the same setup, for the properties that me and my wife have got, like same thing again. And I think for her, that mental block of when that initially got set up, and then I think now she understands it a lot more because we're doing bigger stuff, and if this all goes pear-shaped, for me it's protected. A lot of I just dust my hands, and she doesn't get touched, or any of our assets don't get touched.
Absolutely.
But yeah, obviously at the start, you're like, oh, it's not mine. Like you got, yeah, as everyone does. Like it's not, yeah, she didn't think it was hers. She wasn't part of it. You know, on paper, she's not there or anything like that. But then, you know, all props to my accountant. You know, she's been with me from the start, and you know, she's made sure that she's like, listen, there's a reason that we do why we do it. It's not an ego thing. It's not a title thing. You know, you're not here and he's here. Like we've both got a role to play.
Yeah.
We play our roles.
Yeah.
And then the team will win. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, no, that's good. So, in regards to I guess we can go back to what you were touching on before about making the plastering industry better.
Yep.
And I think all the listeners would know as well, you know, plasterers for a long time haven't had a really good rap. That's, you know, me as a chippy looking in from the outside as well. When you go to jobs and you've got, you know, you would see it as well. You got Korean plasterers, you got guys that are coming in with no shirt on, no socks. They're you know, smoking inside. They're not clean at all. But obviously there's these companies out there that use these guys and so for you guys, has that been more of a different, like, has it been more of a selling point to have more of a professional thing rather than, because don't get me wrong, you can go, you know, I give the listeners a bit of context. You can go out there and get a contract for $1 million for a plastering job, you know, tier 1 builder, high rise. You could then go turn the corner and go find someone that can do it for 800,000, right? And they come in, who knows if they've got insurances, who knows if they pay their super and all the rest of it, and you just take a cut off the top and you dust your hands of it and whatever. Yeah. Because there's heaps of guys out there that do that.
Yeah, and, absolutely.
So what's your like setup in regards to that? Have you found that sort of separates you guys having more of a professional front?
Yeah.
You know, full-time employees and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah. We try to stand out from the rest. That's why creating a brand, showing that we are a large company, that we are organised, being professional. Don't get me wrong, we have had staff come in that do exactly what you just mentioned, but they are not the right fit for our company. Yeah. And it's as we've all gone through the COVID short supply of trades and staff.
Do you think it's changed now?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah,
yes.
Even like I was literally having a meeting today.
Yeah.
And we've been getting new employees like recently.
Yeah.
And completely changed.
Yeah.
From September last year, September, October last year to now, day and night.
We've got this attitude of if you don't sit within our company values, you're not meant for our team.
Yeah.
And we've gone through many interviews and had to say, sorry, would love to, but we can't. If they're not going to fit in our team and be able to work with the right intention of what we're after, then we're not meant to be. But yeah, at the end of the day, we want to be able to have, we want to work our residential market. We gear towards high-end architectural custom homes.
Yep.
And with that comes a high-end client and builder. Like we want to be able to come in a respectable manner, in a professional manner.
Yeah.
Keep communication very open.
Yeah.
And be updating our clients or builders, more to the point. And if you're sending someone in there, you're gonna, buy your own board. You're going to, you've got to figure out your own takeoff and make sure it's right. And then having the sheeting team come in. So we've created our own internal sheeting team now, which we're super excited about because we no longer have to subcontract.
Yeah.
And then our setting team come in and follow. And every team are so gentle and respectful and are just there to get the job done and are so excited to be working on that site. Yeah. It's not a get it done, get out as quick as possible, move on to the next one. Our theory is very much so we slow it down, we get it done right, and then we walk away proudly knowing, in 100 years' time, it's still just as great. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, like everyone's different. We still have a big team, so I can't control everything, but they're our morals. That's where we want, that's our intention.
Yeah.
So.
And do you find that reciprocates like with the builders that you finding that it's becoming less and less harder to get these builders, like they're more finding you than you are finding them?
Absolutely. Our inquiry.
Because
has
don't get me wrong,
skyrocketed.
you know, the price is out there 100%. Like same for us.
Yep.
As I say to every single builder, like I stand by what we do.
Yep.
And yeah, I say to them straight to their face, like you will find someone cheaper than us. Like 100%. If you're searching for price,
Yeah.
then you know we're not going to be the ones because I will literally give you 4 numbers out of my phone right now of guys that will come and do it cheaper for you.
Absolutely.
And
We've noticed this year a lot of builders are not price checking, but getting multiple quotes.
Yeah.
4, 5.
Yeah.
And I go, well, look, I'm sorry, but we're not competitive.
Yeah.
You're not going to get what we do with these guys.
Yeah.
And that's okay. If you choose for price, that's completely your decision.
Yeah.
Respect that, but wish you well.
Yeah.
We're finally at a point where we pick and choose our builders. So if we've been working for them for even many years, we're saying we're ending relationships if they're not meant for us.
Yeah.
And that's a hard call to make. But
100%.
we don't want to work for free. We don't want to work where our team are disrespected or belittled constantly.
Yeah.
It's not right for us.
I had the same issue recently as well. We did work for one builder developer and had a really good relationship. But just over time, I felt that it was just it was time to part ways.
Even payments. We're not sole traders. We're not banging on their door after a week's time.
Yeah.
We some builders take longer, but we're always going to put preference to the builders that are organised, pay on time.
Yeah.
Or within a reasonable time. If we become their cash flow, we're not a bank.
Yeah.
We've got to look after our own family too. We've got to pay our own bills. My payroll is astronomical. Got to get the money from somewhere, right?
I think I always say to them because you would get the same thing. They always throw out like, "Oh, our payment terms are this," and I always say it's like more of a selling point. You know, we start on say 14, and then if our relationship evolves, I'm happy with you, you're happy with me, you pay my bills on time, then we can extend to 30, 45, 60 if need be. If that relationship is kept, where I feel like for you guys that are out there that are thinking about starting off, just be very careful on when you're getting into a relationship with a client, a builder, a developer, whoever it is. Just be very careful when you get in there, and the payment terms are 30 days, end of month, 45 days, whatever it is, those long ones, because, you can really get left out, like, and get...
We've had 6 months.
Yeah.
Regularly. Yeah. We found when we first started out, most builders would only have us work for them because they had lost the relationship with the previous plasterer, probably because of their payment terms. Yeah. And as time's gone on, we've had the confidence.
Do you guys ever ask that question? Because I personally do. I say, because when you have a builder or developer that comes up to you and says to you, "Hey, listen, I got all these jobs, I got this job here, right? They got a good track record for the last 10, 15 years." My first question initially is, what happened to the guy that was doing it before me?
Oh yeah, we ask that.
So I always say, like, what, who were they?
Yeah.
What happened to them? And I love to find that out. And then, there's even been times where I've found out who it was and I do my own research.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I find out, okay, well, why did you end up doing it? And there's like, that has saved me thousands and thousands and thousands before.
Yes.
So
we've taken out builders insurance as well now. So we cover all our builders and we report on those builders that have outstanding balances with us.
Yep.
And our insurer will tell me who is questionable, who they have a plethora of, that builder's suppliers, if they're not getting paid, if another subcontractor's put in a court order against them, or anything that may be happening in that degree. So our insurer will report back to us monthly and say, red flag, and we'll go, righto, last job with these guys, unless there's a very, very, very good
so they actually flag it for you prior, like they can sort of see it happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's that through?
It's an insurance broker.
Yeah.
Presidium.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So they will go through every single one of our clientele.
Yeah.
And say, don't do it.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, that's another little thing for people out there. Yeah, I haven't heard of that one before. Yeah, that's good.
Costs you money.
Hey, it's going to cost you if they go under either way. So
Oh.
whether you're paying it to them or you're paying it to the other, like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but yeah, so what other sort of projects? I think you touched on schools and stuff like that, a bit of passion stuff for yourself. And
Yeah.
what are some stuff that you guys are doing? Because I know that, like, to be honest, I follow you guys on all socials. Like, I can see you guys really going at it. And,
Yep,
you know,
yep.
your brand's obviously growing and it's
Yep.
obviously paying dividends.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, is that something that you sort of, you know, your input is more to the brand per se, like
Yeah,
growing that? And
that's all me.
Yeah. Was your husband a little bit, you know, iffy about it at the start?
Oh, he wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? Why
Is
are we
he
spending time
seeing? Is
here?
he seeing now that it?
Oh, within 6 months. So I first initially started with just a whole heap of stock photos.
Yeah.
And just talked about what was involved in the plastering aspect for what we could see in this picture.
Yeah.
And that led to us getting genuine traction with stuff on site or meet the teams or whatever it
Yeah.
might be. But yeah, easily 80% of our inquiry comes from our Instagram.
Yeah.
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 And I don't have a huge following. I've got a touch under 4,000.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's not about quantity, it's quality.
Yeah.
If I'm getting consistent inquiries,
Yeah.
then that's gold.
Yeah.
So we're doing email mail outs now to every single builder and architect and anyone I can find. They're getting my email.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they may not read it, but they see our name and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
It's just constant repetition of seeing your name, reminding who you are and what we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so Instagram, look, my Chris is not a fan. He, for the first few times of doing reels, he got told to blink a lot.
Yeah.
Got
I was going to
told-
say, I actually haven't seen him. Like, he's, rarely on there. Yeah.
Well, we're slowly phasing him out.
Yeah.
So we've recently done one where we go, all right, Chris has given me the floor because he doesn't like it, and he's going, no, take me off, you know. Like it's one of those that he's had to find his confidence, and he's still struggling to find. But at the end of the day, we struggle with content because our clientele is incredibly private.
Yeah.
Most of our builders or their clients are incredibly wealthy, and they don't want their homes on the network of social
that's
media.
something that we found, as well, yeah.
So we've just had to come out with another way to create content, and this is what I've come up with.
Yeah.
If I can get a few projects here and there, I do, but it's no longer my priority.
Yeah.
We do the work, we do it well.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if we can give them another point of education or anything of that sort, even just, even then just seeing our pretty little faces on the screen, then that's fine.
Yeah.
We're happy with that because it's hard. It's hard to get builders to approve us on site with our camera crew.
I think the way that we sort of got around it, but like, a lot, because I went through the same thing, and we sort of now just, our stuff's more about our team and our culture.
Yep.
Not so much about the work, because at the end of the day, when you're a client, you're looking at it, it's just a wall, it's just a house. Like, you can get the pretty finished shots, and that's all, we've got them as well. But for the 90% of it, people want to know about, like, what your company's about.
Yeah, absolutely.
They want to know about your culture. They want to know about, like, and I have, same thing again, we haven't got a massive following, and it's not about how many followers you got. Like, for the little amount that we've got, I've gained some really good traction, some really good contacts just out of that.
Yep, absolutely.
And, those people want to work for us, not because of the job that we've done.
Yeah.
They want to work with us because we're us.
You're bloody good people.
We're here.
Is who you are.
They can see that I'm not hiding in the shadows.
Yep.
I'm right there. I've got a reference point back there. And on the flip side as well, getting employees and all that sort of stuff is a lot easier as well.
Yeah.
Because, you can, for me, if I could have one piece of advice for the guys out there, do it now and do it sooner. Like, it's a no-brainer in my eyes.
Yes.
And don't do it for the dollar. Don't try to chase and, get out on socials and then, do this whole friggin'
You're not
social.
going to make a mint on social media. As much as you may want to be the new influencer, good on you.
Yeah.
But your core focus should be your business and business alone. If other things come from it, fantastic, good on you.
Yeah.
But don't expect it.
Yeah. Keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but yeah, so what about the schools? What were you doing about them?
Yeah, so I'm now going out to primary schools, high schools even.
Yeah.
So I initially hit the road with AWIC, Awesome Women in Construction, and we did a road show up to North Queensland.
Oh, yeah.
Went to a few local schools there, suppliers, and just spreading the word of the construction industry. I'm very much... I'm involved in AWIC and volunteer a lot of my time. We're now trying to... are going again in May. But from that take, I have gone, why can't I do that for plastering? I can't, my one little, who I am on my own, I'm not going to conquer the whole bloody building industry. But if I can at least make a small little snippet to plasterers and actually have kids wanting to enter the plastering industry, we find most of our staff have fallen into the industry as a means to an end, and our quality staff, well, not our quality staff, but those that actually have openly chosen to join this industry are so passionate, and that's what shows up in their work. It's awesome. So I go to schools now. I take little sample boards and I get the kids setting with mud, and they get a little T-shirt saying, when I grow up, I want to be a plasterer.
Yeah, cool.
You know, hey, they might take that home to their dad, who might happen to be a builder, and he might give me a call. But it's not...
Sales technique 101.
No, but hey, it's not about that. It's about the fact that one day one of these kids might be my employee, and they might be my best employee yet. And if I can educate the kids while I'm at it, fantastic. But it gives, I bring one or two of my team along with me, and it gives them another cause for enjoyment for their job role and a passion for their industry again as well. So I'll bring a qualified and a apprentice. And they'll just sit there and help the kids as well, because I openly admit I'm not a plasterer. I am here to own a plastering company and run it well, but I'm not here to show you how to put mud on the wall.
Yeah, but you can still have passion for it.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's something that you can either choose to hate what you do or to be disgruntled at what you do every single day, or you can choose to make something of it and actually enjoy what you do every day.
With that question that you were saying in regards to whether they choose to do it or not, is that like part of your interview process? Like, do you ask that question to them? Do they say, did you choose to do this, or did you just...
Yeah, absolutely. Why do you want to be a plasterer? Why did you? Absolutely.
And you just find that 9 times out of 10 it's... it's just...
Oh, my dad was doing it, so I got on site with him. Or, my uncle was doing it, so I was his labourer for a while and thought I might get an apprenticeship. Or, it's you can quickly filter those who have a good work ethic and a passion for the industry. Who actually want to be on the team, and on wages is another big thing.
So talking about wages, that was my next thing that I want to talk about, because you did say you actually taught me something about the percentages and what was it? It was, I think you said it was 80% of sole traders and ABNs. They weren't wages. They weren't on full. Didn't have full-time employment. I think for us, because I sort of sat back and thought about that as well, and like I think that is sort of true as well. I don't know. I think it's just the Australian culture. Like if they see. I was the same. You see a company doing it, you're like, why can't I do it as well? You get on an ABN, you charge out this much, and then all of a sudden you still got no money left. And
we've had a lot of staff come be part of the team and want to go out on their own, and that's okay. They need to go and figure it out for themselves and understand what is involved. And to be honest, they probably won't come back to us for another 2-3 years. Not until they get their second, third tax bill and then get themselves right in a hole. So the difference is you can either be on full time for my guys. Full time means you have 4 weeks annual leave. There's 2 weeks paid holidays. You've got 2 weeks sick leave. I pay them for their birthday. So one of my apprentices, it's his birthday tomorrow. he's got the option of a paid day off. He can have a paid bonus of a day's wage, or he can accrue those hours to use on a later day. He can then, and then we've got, so that's already 8 weeks paid leave for the year, right? 2 months. Like, can you fathom? So that's when you're sick, you get paid. When my staff children are sick, I pay them. You know, when it's, I very much so push my guys 50-50 with your partner. You know, I don't expect her to take the brunt of a sick kid when they can't go to childcare. They can stay home and get paid as well. And when they're actually sick, then they get paid too. But so that's that. And then you paid your superannuation. So you're actually setting yourself up for your future. We give our guys a fuel card. So,
work cover.
They can get paid. They can actually get to work because they got fuel in their car. We've got work cover. So if they hurt themselves, they're sorted.
When you run the numbers back.
Absolutely.
We've done it heaps of times before. And when you really run the numbers back, like some of these guys need to be on money that they would never get. You know,
never get.
They'll never get.
One guy come to me, he came for a trial, and he's like, look, I figured out what I need in my hand every week, and I'm like, okay, so that's probably about 150 grand a year salary is what you're after. I said, sorry, mate.
No chance.
That's not what you're going to be expecting with us. But the reality is there is potential. So we have a minimum 38-hour week. So if they have a lunch break or do an 8-hour day, that's 2 hours overtime a week. Plus, if they work a Saturday, anything over 8 hours a day, that's overtime.
There's heaps of opportunities.
At the end of the day, you're not uncapped. You are uncapped, sorry. You know, like they're
not capped to that, whatever, because I had this argument as well, not an argument, but a discussion with guys that we've recently employed as well. And when they see the 38 or whatever it is, I say to them, like, this is on wages, like, we don't do 38 hours. Like, that's not the normal week. You know, the boys will normally do 42, 45. So if you really want to add it all in. And then not only that, your annual leave's accrued per hour, not per week. So the more hours you work, the more annual leave you get. Like, and it's all, that's how it all works. So, but that's, running the numbers back and really working it out. Because, we did that recently with some of my guys that were questioning about, like being on, I need this, I need that. Because they only ever see what they get in the bank. You know? They don't see all of the other stuff that comes with it. You know, I'm lucky. I've got a few key guys that understand it, but they've been around it enough, so they're not idiots. They're like, I get it. But I've had the argument prior in the past. With
but then it's adding on. You know, they might get paid however much an hour. Then you have to, as a company or a business, you have to add on your overheads and then actually a profit. And that profit, it might be only, you know, $5 of their hourly rate, right, that we charge out to the builder. But that profit then has to cover, you know, the incidentals. So when they need a week off and their mental health isn't right, I pay my guys. I just go have a holiday, just sort yourself out or do whatever you got to do. That's what that's paying for. You know, it's us going away for a company event. That's what these things pay for. It's but the reality is they see us charging double the amount of their hourly rate to the builder and assume that we're pocketing all that, and it grinds people's gears. And that's okay. Like, fair enough, each to their own. I am ruffling feathers in my industry about this because I am so vocal about it. And
I'm pretty straight up with my guys, and I just say to them, I am what you see. Like, I'm not hiding anything. You come to my house, you see what I got. I said, you don't see a Lambo in the driveway.
No.
You don't see a massive mansion. No. You know, I live an hour and a half out of Brisbane. You know, I live a pretty normal life. From what I make, I spend back either on the guys, on the business. And obviously, if I'm in a position to pay you guys more, why wouldn't I pay my guys? Like, you'd be in the same position. If as an owner of a company, if you're in a position to offer people more money, why wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Because you want to be the one that people want to come to because you're paying them more money. So that's what I've always said to them, like this philosophy about like that people thinking that business owners are holding out, they're charging so much, they're making this and that. Like, I don't know who you're working for, but there's guys out there like us that, you know, that actually want to do the right thing.
But it's even understanding, it might just, a wage is different. There's casual and then there's full-time. There's a lot out there on casual that they get sold on this higher hourly rate, but that's all they see is the dollar amount, not winding it back for, okay, if I'm on full-time working for someone, it might be $2 less an hour or $5 less an hour, but I get all these other benefits with it.
Your super and everything, yeah.
And that's the big difference. Most don't realise. Most are so fixated on that that dollar amount.
Yeah. All right. So just finally, I think we've had a good chat, and we've given the listeners some of the things. Like, we could digress for hours and hours. I think you got a massive story to tell. We will have to probably run this back eventually, but yeah, plans for CRA and you guys, and what you guys are planning on doing. I think you said, you touched on just a second ago about the commercial stuff.
Yep.
And any more projects that you want to reach out?
So we've our resi team is it's doing its thing. It's kicking along. So we've re-entered the commercial game. We're just at the tail end of finishing our first project and re-entering our next. So that obviously builds our team and our turnover quadruple. So that's something that they are two separate, not entities, same entity, but two separate divisions of us.
And you've played a part in order to make that, to set that whole...
So we now have a full-time estimator, full-time commercial supervisor, about to hire a project manager, and these are something that my office staff, I have a very small warehouse in Geebung that I thought was just going to suit me and Chris quite fine and dandy. But we've quickly realised that we have to house a lot more staff. And
so what's your team look like now?
So we've got our administrator, we've got estimator, we've got two supervisors, and then our resi team of 18. And then we've got labourers, two full-time labourers, plus we subcontract out the commercial aspect. Yeah, it's good.
So kicking goals,
Kicking goals. It's this year was our year to go, all right, let's take a seat back and enjoy what we've built, and we might actually take some profit out. And then we've gone, all right, full steam ahead for commercial instead. So that's fine. In another 2-3 years, maybe we might pull something out of the business. But it's not a short-term profit win. It's something that we're not doing crypto or anything. No. I
You're in
think,
it for the long run.
Yeah, exactly. So no, we just keep reinvesting into the business. We've got a fleet of cars on the road now. We've got obviously hiring more and more staff. So it's just finding that money to reinvest into it, and it pays itself off. It's worth it. So no,
that's good. All right, well, we'll wrap it out, and I hope you guys that are listening, you guys got something out of it. Kim's definitely got a lot of knowledge in this space from the journey, and I think we could sit here for hours on end. But I hope you guys got something out of it, and thanks for coming on, Kim.
Cool, thanks for having me. It was good. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you.